You ever hear about places that don't show up on any map? Places tucked so deep in the woods, so forgotten by time, that it feels like the world just left them behind? Well, there's one story like that out in the forests of Montana. It's not the kind of story you'll find in newspapers or travel blogs. No, people don't like to talk about it. But I'll tell it to you now. So this happened a few years back. 4 friends, Jake, Emily, Ryan, and Sarah, city kids mostly, the kind who grew up surrounded by buildings and concrete, not trees. One summer, they decided to get away, disconnect for a bit. No phones, no social media, no signal, just themselves, a road trip, and nature. They packed up a car, headed off toward the mountains. Everything was normal, laughing, joking, blasting music. None of them thought anything bad would happen. Why would they? It was supposed to be fun. That's how these stories always start, isn't it? About halfway through their trip, they decide to ditch the main trail and head deeper into the forest. No GPS, just old maps and gut instinct. After a while, the trees got denser. Sunlight barely touched the ground. Even the birds had stopped chirping. That's when they stumbled on something strange, a narrow, overgrown path they hadn't noticed before. Looked like no one had walked it in decades. And at the end of it, they found a cabin. Not a modern cabin, like the kind people rent out for weekend getaways. No, this one looked ancient. Wood all rotted, windows shattered, roof sagging like it was ready to collapse. Most people would have turned around right then. But not these 4. Jake laughed. Looks abandoned. Bet no one's been here for years. Emily grinned. Let's check it out. Maybe we'll find something cool. They were curious, maybe a little cocky, so they pushed open the door. Inside, it was like stepping back in time. Dust everywhere, old furniture, moldy curtains, smelled like wet earth and something sour. But the weirdest part was the table in the middle of the room. Sitting on it was a stack of journals, handwritten, yellowed pages. They figured it was probably nothing, some old guy's rambling. But that night, after they lit a fire, Jake started flipping through one of them. The entries were strange. The man who wrote them lived there in the 1950s, all alone. At first, it sounded normal, talking about hunting and the weather. But as the pages went on, things got darker. One entry read, "They come at night, whispering through the trees, telling me I can't leave, that I belong here now." Sarah joked nervously. Probably just some crazy woodsman who lost his mind. But after Jake finished reading that, they all heard something. A whisper, soft like the wind. But there was no wind. They tried to brush it off and blamed it on being tired, on the forest playing tricks on them. That night, while the others slept, Sarah woke up to a scratching sound at the window. She sat up, heart pounding, stared into the darkness outside. Thought she saw something move. The next morning, Ryan checked his phone. Somehow there was a video on it that none of them remembered filming. It showed the 4 of them, sleeping. Someone or something had been inside the cabin with them, filming while they slept. By then, they were done, ready to leave. But here's where it gets really messed up. No matter which direction they walked, no matter how far they thought they'd gone, they kept ending up right back at that cabin. Hours passed. Sun climbed high, then started to dip again. Every trail looked the same. Trees twisting in impossible ways. It was like the forest was folding in on itself, keeping them trapped. As evening crept in, Jake flipped to the last entry in the journal, hoping maybe there'd be some explanation. It read, "November 3rd. I tried to leave, but I never can. They don't let me. I hear new voices now, young voices. They come to stay too. And that's when Sarah screamed. She had been standing by the edge of the clearing, and in a blink she was gone. No sound, no footsteps, just gone. The whispering came back louder, almost like chanting now. Ryan panicked, bolted toward the trees, but he didn't get far. One by one, they vanished, like something plucked them straight out of existence. The next morning, rangers searched that part of the forest. They never found the friends, never even found the cabin. But here's the thing. Every once in a while, hikers say they hear voices in that part of the woods. Young voices. Calling out, whispering, leading people off the trail. They say if you listen too closely, you might follow the voices yourself. And if you do, you might just find that cabin. So, would you take that path? Because some places, they aren't forgotten. They're waiting